Hey you, yep, I'm talking to you. You're getting hungry, very hungry. Your mouth is watering. You have a craving for Doritos, a craving for crunchy tacos. Well, have I got the treat for you. It's that time again. It's grill time, baby. Come on in tomorrow only to get your charcoal for 50% off. Choose your favorite smoker. That's 20% off. 3453 North Kimball in Chicago, Illinois. Remember, this sale is for one day only. Now that's how you save big money. It's selling out fast and secure. Your tickets now. The first annual 1043 2018 Hip Hop Fallback Jam Session. It's something you don't want to miss. Hey, it's Denai Azure, and you are now tuned in to No Filter Radio with your host, Dope as Music.
So we're working on that.
Television.
Sissy. Okay. I think it's so special having my big sister do my makeup. I love when my sissy Ericca helps me kind of play, I say dress up. It just makes me feel like, my big sister making me look fly, as she would say. I like it. Smoky sexy.
Social media. Video shoots. Photo shoots. Live stream.
Like 2 weeks ago, and most of you know I'm a casting associate, so I cast background and extras and whatever for 4-star casting.
Movies.
Dwayne, can I see you in my office?
Yeah. Can I use the bathroom first?
Well, make it fast.
YouTube videos.
Sweet love, hear me calling out your name. I feel no shame in love. Love, don't you ever.
Or commercials. Denia Designs for You will get you right. Grab that S4S jewelry. Just go to bit.ly/DD4U jewelry.
Located at 4655 South King Drive. Approved by Papas Everywhere.
Hello, Grand Rising, everyone. Ericca,
Hey, Danielle.
how are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm good. So this morning we had the fabulous Ericca Avila. She is a plus model. She's an actress. She's a mom. She's just an amazing person. And we had her come on today because we were talking about, this is October, so it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so we wanted to kind of talk to her regarding how she survived for a deal. If you looked at her originally, you wouldn't even think that anything was wrong. She actually, I met her Is it almost 2 years ago now? Yeah, almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, at a casting call for a fashion show, and her energy is just electric. Beautiful spirit, amazing personality, and just watching her career flourish has been amazing. Miss Erica, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick.
Thank you, Danielle. So, yes, I'm Ericca Avila. I'm born and raised here in Chicago, predominantly on the southeast side. And I'm a proud Chicagoan. I love my city. And the day we met, it was at the LOLC fashion show. 2000, was it 18 now?
Yeah.
Wow. 2018. So, yes, almost 2 years ago. And, one of the main reasons why I started to even pursue modeling was because I was battling, being 100% confident and secure with myself and my body. I had picked up some weight. I've always been, on the plus size since I was a preteen. So, I was always the bigger girl. And that was always a topic for, more so for everyone else than it was for me. But people love to point that out. So I go hard for body positivity and body inclusion and diversity because socially, certain body types are not accepted or they're looked down and frowned upon. But, if you have all these people criticizing you and you're thinking, I don't have the ideal body weight or body type, or let's just say you're the bigger one within your circle and friends and family. And you hear everyone around you saying they're fat, they're big, they're uncomfortable, but you're bigger than them. Well, how does that make you feel? And so I think it's natural for women, to have these insecurities or, sometimes it's not always natural, but a lot of times it's the topic for females or people, period, is we're always shaming ourselves. And, if you
Right.
are continuously criticizing your own body and your weight, and if you're saying, what, I'm not happy with my weight, you're not going to be happy overall, period. So it came to a point where I'm like, you know what, plus size has been trending, body inclusion has been trending, self-love awareness is big, and the world is finally catching up with, you know what, accept people for who they are. Everybody is beautiful. Every body type is beautiful. So I had to come to that conclusion for myself because I said, if I'm going to stay 40 plus pounds overweight, I better be happy with myself. And if I'm not happy with myself and within myself, how am I going to show my daughters how to be confident? What example am I setting for them? What example am I teaching my peers, my friends, anyone else? So that's when I decided, you know what? At this size, I'm going to love myself. I'm going to embrace it. And I'm going to be confident with where I'm at today with my body weight and a lot of things overall. And in addition to not being super comfortable with my body weight, and I talk about body shaming because I mentioned that you hear criticism from, I heard it a lot from my mother, and I don't think she realized that that the criticism wasn't constructive.
Right.
That it was building insecurities in a girl before she even hit her teenage years. Because she talked about how large my hips were, how big my thighs were.
What?
My siblings teased me about my thunder thighs and, and stuff like that. So, of course, I grew up to be self-conscious about my body type.
Gotcha.
And so that, like I said, that wears down on you subconsciously. Because naturally, I'm a Leo. So I'm born under the sun. I'm born, bold and confident. So it was almost as if everyone else was telling me not to be confident. But it came to me naturally. I am a confident person. And sometimes you would hear me say, like, oh, I'm not that confident. I got people saying, yes, you are. And then I'm like, oh, wait, you're right. Let me own this shit. Like, who the fuck am I? Why am I letting people determine who I really am inside and out? So, yeah, a lot of people would never guess that I've gone through some of the things that I've gone through because of my positive attitude.
Right.
And being raised like that conditioned me to verbal and emotional abuse. So when that now came about, sorry, Danielle, go ahead.
No, you're good. And I think that's what people don't realize. Like, physical abuse isn't the only form of domestic violence. Verbal abuse is very, very prevalent, and that's where a lot of that's for the signs before it gets to physical abuse. But it's all domestic abuse. So, by the way, if you guys hear the music in the background, Ericca has her lovely children, and they're playing games and whatnot. We're trying to figure out how to get how we're gonna need this to go down. But she's a mom, Hello, you hear?
I apologize for that.
Huh?
I said I apologize for that. I am not tech savvy, so trying
It's
to figure
all good.
out
It's all good.
how
Like
to exit out of this window is like driving me nuts.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so just going back to some of the reasons why I started to try to understand how I didn't see the red flags in my relationship when it became abusive, and the abuse was more verbal and emotional.
Right.
And I didn't even take offense to some of the disrespect that was going on early on, because I was so used to already being spoken to like that from my loved ones. So, because when you're conditioned to this type of treatment, you don't even realize the other person is doing wrong until it goes too far, until you're too deep in. And, that for me was an eye-opener, because I thought I had already come out of one abusive marriage and relationship. And I thought I would never accept that again. And I went for a partner who was totally different from the last guy. I tried to do everything right and be, super aware of what I was choosing and who I was being with. And, I was right. He was never going to put his hands on me. He didn't physically strike me, hit me, but verbally and emotionally, all of that was going on. And I didn't recognize all the forms of control that was going on in my relationship. There was financial control. You talk about domestic violence, and there's so many different forms of abuse. There's financial, there's, like I said, the emotional, the verbal, there's physical, and the control of who, what, and where you could do something, how you could do it. And I had a parent figure who was very, very controlling.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to allow someone else to control me was nothing. I didn't even realize I was losing my own power. I just was so submissive to it because I was used to being told what to do, how to do it, and was used to being criticized. Everything that I did, I could never do nothing right. So did I even analyze or recognize these narcissistic behaviors? Not at first. Not until the names were being called, the disrespectful names were being called. I mean, I was called every name in the book, but I was called every name in the damn book. And I'm not saying this to out my mom, because she has a history of going through domestic violence. And so, you know, it damaged her so much that she carried on that behavior. And that was her way, that's just her way of expressing herself without even realizing that she's verbally and emotionally, she verbally and emotionally abused her children. And she doesn't realize it. Um, and then again, because I had gone through this in my first marriage, and now this man is different. Now, okay, he's not hitting me, he's controlling me. But guess who became also toxic? And so when he triggered all these things in me, when the disrespect started coming like super forward, and when he's calling me names and I'm calling him back names, and other issues were coming out, I also became verbally abusive myself. I became toxic as hell my damn self. And it wasn't until I had no control over my emotions that I realized I need to handle the situation differently. I'm doing something wrong, so how can I change this? So I wanted to change myself for one, and I wanted to change my relationship. I wanted to have a healthy one. I was like, this is not normal. It doesn't feel good. You know, I kept my distance from my mother at times because I feel like she's so damaged that she continues to be, an abuser without realizing it. So sometimes for the sake of my own peace, I love her and I know she loves me and my siblings. I know she loves us unconditionally. It's just she was taught, that this is normal, that this is okay. And, it's the damage is done, but again, like very, very early on, we have had mentors. I have had mentors. I've had other adult figures in my life that showed us love and that said, they would console us when they witnessed it. It's okay, for this reason, you got to understand where your mom's coming from. So we understood all of those things. I think that's why I accepted so much bullshit, because I'm always trying to understand what's going on with somebody. And, let's get past this because, you had some trauma in your childhood. But then after a while, it's like, okay, you're taking advantage of the situation. And if you don't change and you don't see no wrong in you, then that's a problem.
Right. Exactly. And I think the biggest thing when it comes to emotional abuse is understanding how painful that can be for the rest of the family, and understanding that it's not just about what you're going through, especially if you have children, because when you have children and you're going through emotional abuse, all of that energy, like Indigo said, all of that energy transfers. So it's felt throughout the entire house. It's felt whenever you're talking to your friends and your other family members, and you have this anger inside of you and you don't understand it, and you're sitting there and you're yelling and you don't know why, because you're hurting. Because you're hurting inside and you don't know what you can do to help. You don't know why you're in pain all the time, because you think of a situation where it's more as if, well, they're not putting their hands on me, so this must be okay because all they said was this, or all they said was that, or they just made this one statement and wait, they just told me to wear this one time, maybe that's not a big deal. But every single sign says your body is not your own, your mind is not your own, your heart is not your own. And that's the problem. Hello. Everybody's coming in the room. Shout out to Goddess, Miss Queenie, Keisha, Indigo. We have Honey Savage in the building. So many amazing people that are coming through. Charm Squad is coming through heavy this morning. We have Ericca Avila. She's talking about how she's thrived through her domestic violence relationship. And no, it wasn't physical, but it was emotional. And emotional is way worse because those scars don't heal. How, Lady Detroit, how are you? Those scars don't heal. So Ericca is an amazing person. She's a model. She is an actress. She's been featured on multiple television shows. And, you know, she was definitely doing her thing before this pandemic for sure. She was also a mom. So you guys hear a little noise in the background. That is her kids' game. We're trying to figure it out. We're gonna get her tech savvy. You know what I'm saying? We're definitely gonna get it together. But we weren't gonna stop it. Ain't nobody gonna stop this message, okay? That was gonna stop. I'm like, girl, you're a mom. It's okay. It's all right. We can hear the kitties in the background because you're a mommy. Like, what's up? So, yes. Hello. But, you know, I had her come on here today because, not just because it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but because I wanted you guys to get to know her, because you're going to see her more often, because it's one of my really good friends, as well as one of my models as well. She's just such a beautiful person, and she has so much to offer. I think the biggest thing about this entire situation is learning to love yourself. Learning to love yourself is so important. That's what's going to help you to thrive through all of the craziness. That's what helps you to get beyond and get out of your head. Especially when you have someone telling you that you're not good enough. 1 second.
You know, you're stupid, you're worthless, you know, you're ugly, you're fat, you're a bitch, you're a whore. Nobody's gonna want you, you know,
Right.
You've got nothing going on for yourself. You have no money, you have, you know, no career. What are you gonna do? And so, you know, and while they're telling you, I don't want you, they're also telling you, you can't move on because I'm the breadwinner, because I'm the man in the house, because that's my child. Who the hell's gonna want you when my child? Who the hell's gonna want you because you got fat, because you lost your shape, because you done picked up some weight since I met you. So you don't look good no more. Maybe you used to look good, but you don't look good now. You ain't shit. You're old. You're this. You're that. And so now I've never been the type. I'm very, very outspoken. I'm not shy.
Right.
You know, and like I said, I was raised by a mother who she also, you know, was a survivor and a domestic violence, you know, victim. And so she has taught us. I knew that if any man were to ever try to disrespect me or abuse me and put his hands on me, I knew that the only thing I was going to do was walk away and not stay. That staying was not the option. That wasn't even in my thought process. But unfortunately, because of my mom's upbringing, she endured. You know, this is a repeated cycle. These are generational fucking curses. I'm telling you, like, it goes down the line, and it comes from, you know, generation after generation. She was emotionally, verbally, physically abused by her mother. So she carried that cycle on. She repeated the cycle. Then her husband, he physically, you know, whooped her ass. I never got my ass whooped the way she got her ass whooped. So I understand. There's so many things. She has so many triggers. So when she raised us, you know, she raised us like she was tough love. And she told us not to put up with no bullshit. But she didn't realize the bullshit that she also brought upon us, her own daughters. And so she also emotionally and verbally abused us because she body shamed me a lot, and she talked down on me a lot. She also encouraged us to not to be independent. She encouraged us to be independent, but also said the main goal was to depend on a man. Okay, that was her mistake number one, but that's all she knew. So I became dependent on someone, and when I did that, I didn't feel right, especially when that person was holding that over my head and telling me that that's all I knew because that's all my mom knew. So he saw, like, I think that this person studied me for a minute because he knew me and my family for a long time before we even got together. Now, as mentioned earlier, for anyone who wasn't on, this was my second marriage. This was my second partner. This was my second time experiencing domestic abuse, domestic violence, and abuse within my home, my household, and a relationship. The first time I had gotten married when I was, 19, 20, maybe 20 years old, 21 years old.
Right.
And my first child back then. That one was more physical and everything else. Every form of abuse. Verbal, emotional, financial, and physical. So I stayed single. I left him before my baby, my first daughter, turned 1 year old. The second time I found out I was pregnant, I was already out of the relationship. Got back with him when I was like 6 months, delivered the baby. He acted a fool again. And before she was a year old, I left that relationship. Because again, I knew that if anyone acted crazy with me, disrespected me, tried to put his hands on me, I was going to leave. Staying was not the option.
Right.
So I thought I had overcome, and I would recognize the signs again because I've already gone through this and I wasn't going to tolerate it. And I speak so vocally about it, and this is all the time. And I've done this for years. I've always been very, very open to what I've experienced, what I've gone through, because it's so freaking normalized. And it's so around maybe the community where I'm from, it's so culturally accepted and acceptable.
Right.
And so many people go through it and we just don't talk about it. And it's okay. It's okay to keep that within your home and your family. But sometimes other people are a little bit bolder or more vocal like myself. And I talk about it because I know what it's like to be afraid. I know what it's like to live in fear and be so damn scared that you believe everything that you're being told by your abuser. You freaking end up believing that you're not worth it. You end up believing that you won't survive without them, that you cannot financially support yourself, that you are not good enough for another man to want you, or you are not good enough to even ever fucking love yourself because you've been talked down to so much. And you have to fight what you are being told, because that's all bullshit. Because everybody, to me, that's why you always hear me call every woman queen and beautiful.
Yes.
We are all queens and we are all beautiful. And if that motherfucker don't see it, then you go to another, you keep fucking moving and you see it within yourself. Because when you start seeing that within yourself, nobody could tell you any fucking different.
Exactly. Real quick. And that's the thing. People don't realize they do. Keisha nailed it on the head. Keisha nailed it on the head. They do that to keep you in your place. They do that because they don't want to lose you. Because they don't want to lose the control over you. They do that because they think that you have no other options. They make you feel that you have no other options. I'm glad that you said that it has become culturally acceptable to be abusive toward women, because I don't understand that. I know I've had to stop watching a lot of Latino television because I look and I see the majority. I was like, why is every show showing the woman getting abused or murdered? I'm confused by these things. Now, I love the Spanish language, but I can't watch this all the time. There has to be something more. But that's what the media portrays, is that it's acceptable for that to happen. So when these young girls are getting in abusive relationships, well, let's think of why. Because that's what they've been taught. That's what they've seen their entire lives. That's what they see all over their media. Something has to change. Something has to change, because it is insane that it is considered acceptable to be abusive toward women in any kind of form. Emotional abuse is so toxic because those wounds don't heal. There are no band-aids for that. There was no medicine for that. You have to build yourself up. You have to be around people that will continue to build you up. That is how you heal. God has said the media feeds into the world programming. Exactly. If you are programmed to believe that you are not worthy, that's what you will believe. That's constantly all that you see. That's why I try to always
And I want to thank you so much because you've been so helpful and so loving and so kind throughout this whole new career for me. This is a whole new industry for me, and I freaking love this shit. I love fashion. I love beauty. I love networking. I love business. I love entrepreneurship. I love, and I love, I'm not one of those who is like, you know what, all men are the same. I don't believe everybody is their self. We are all our own individuals. Of course, everything, plays a role with like how we're raised, our atmospheres, our environments, our cultures, all of that stuff. But every individual to me is their own person. And so I love people. I'm never going to be like, you know what, this is done to me. I'm bitter. I'm down. Fuck no. You think I'm going to let one bad relationship, two bad relationships fuck up my whole world? Hell no. And I think that's the thing about when people start to see you move on or disconnect with them mentally, emotionally, I'm done. I'm out. Like before I left my marriage, I was already out of my marriage without physically leaving. And he could tell, because you could tell, because I got colder. Or for one, like I said, I'm very vocal. So, I didn't feel like I never backed down because I made it clear. You ain't going to put me through this and expect me to fucking stay. Because there's nothing you could do for me that I can't do for myself. So, for one, you got me fucked up. And for two, you could either choose to be civil with me or you could choose not to be. But we're going to try to be civil with each other because now we have a child together. And let's just do our part now as parents to raise a child. And I had a daughter. I had another little girl. So there's no way in hell that I am going to stay in a relationship, a toxic relationship, where you continuously disrespect me and don't even think or see or recognize that you're being disrespectful as hell. And you'll never own that shit. So when you don't ever own that shit, I'm done. I'm through. There is no getting through to you. I'm not trying to change you. You met me as a grown-ass woman. So what the hell makes you think I'm trying to change a grown-ass man? People don't change. We are set in our ways. And I'm not going to sit up here and try to mess with you and try to figure out why the fuck you're so fucked up. Like, fix your own demons. Heal before you come into a relationship. And that's the thing about people is that we all need to heal before we bring baggage into another relationship. And there's nothing wrong with that journey. There's nothing wrong with admitting that we've got some underlying issues or some past trauma from our childhood that might have fucked us up emotionally. We're not loving the other person right, because guess what? I was fucked up too. He was not the only blame for why things became toxic and wrong in our relationship. If I say that, I'm a freaking hypocrite. I'm a bold-faced fucking liar if I say that. No, because when this man started to do things that reminded me of my ex-abuser, I had PTSD. I was triggered. And I became aggressive. And I wanted to be violent. And I was acting out of line. So I came into a relationship and was ready to settle down without fixing the damage that was done within myself. Because I didn't love myself 100%. I wasn't happy with where I was at. So how could I be 100% happy with somebody else? It wasn't up to him to make me happy. I wasn't whole yet. And those are things that I had to self-reflect on and realize. And that's why I started digging deeper. And that's why I started to try to understand, how did I end up here again? How did I end up in another domestic abusive relationship? Where did I go wrong? Because it wasn't just all on this man. It wasn't just all on my partner. It has something to do within me too.
Right. And
So
that's
how am I
the
going to change
thing
that?
about how do you, what steps did you take to heal yourself? What did you do to finally say, you know what, I can't do this. I'm done. I gotta go. What helped you to be able to heal?
Sure. So I actually started looking up resources, right? And a lot of things that's always helped me throughout the years to remain positive, for one is prayer. You know, I feel very, very blessed. There are times when I don't know how I've made it through, but I have. And I have in every aspect of my life. When I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do or how I'm gonna pay this bill, I get a check. I get a income from a stream of income from somewhere, because I hustle. But I always believe, like, I don't really worry about the little things. So for mentally, I was getting through to it. So just mentally staying positive and affirmations on the mental aspect. Another thing that I did physically was I looked up resources, right? And I looked up a resource, and I went and took a domestic violence course. I'm a certified advocate. A lot of people don't know that about me, but I took that while I was going through it in my new marriage. Because when I saw that I was becoming part of the problem, and I was also verbally abusive, and I was also damaging my relationship, I knew I needed some help. And I knew I needed some damn education, because I needed to learn how to not be toxic also. So I took a domestic violence course, and I went and I got certified in that. And that's when a lot of things came to light about how your childhood trauma, like, I knew all of that, but there were other things that they teach you educationally that I was not really aware of, because I just wasn't educated in that aspect, or to that extent. So I went and I took that course, and I got certified, and I was trying to teach my whole household, and I was, like I said, I'm very open. I'm an open book with anything. And so I was telling them everything I was being taught. And so I became, my mood got lighter, and I didn't take offense to a lot of things. And so I did my part, and that was for me, because obviously I was trying to do that so that I was going to go into that career. That's what I wanted to do. But then when I said, you know what, we also need, like I have my faith in God. And so we need to start going to church. We need to bring God more into our home. We have to allow that. So let's get more religious, right? And my partner wasn't up for it. It was no, no, no. Or an excuse, or we kept putting it out. We're going to go to church next week. We're going to go to church next week. And it can't only be one person that's the problem. It can't only be one person who wants to fix her and overcome this problem. And it can't only be one person that says there are certain things that still need to be done for us to progress and move forward. It was only me who wanted to move forward. And then after that, that's when the tables turned. When I stopped trying to feed into all that toxic and verbal and emotional abuse, that's when it came hard and heavy. Like, the devil is, like, that motherfucker is so real, like, evil. And that's when I was getting full blown, straightforwardly attacked verbally. And it became so much easier to see through all the bullshit. And I started to feel drained around my partner. Every day I became depressed. And And I was good when he wasn't around. So with that, but every time he came, he sucked the fucking energy out of me. And so when I started, and then he would come and he was attacking with his words, and I would just sit there and I would tune him out. And then sometimes I was like, you know what? You're draining me. You're so fucking negative. You are draining me. And you need to go fix your issues. And so it was like, oh, maybe I have anxiety. You're the reason, but you're the reason why, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're the reason. Everything was my fault. The reason why he couldn't control his behavior, it was because like I said, all those names. It's because you're stupid. It's because you don't fucking do shit around here. It's because this. It's because that. So when it became you, and I started healing. Also, I went to, like, for many people, maybe, they won't seek the same things, but yes, I was seeking, how do I overcome my past trauma, my childhood trauma? What was I doing wrong? Where was my part in this? A lot of prayer, then, educating myself about domestic violence to the full extent. There's a lot more things that I have to learn. There's so much, to learn about this. And that was another thing. And then just getting back in tune with my faith, just getting back in tune with my love for God, and knowing that that's what I wanted in my home, knowing that that's what I wanted within myself. So when I knew that I wanted better, I realized why I had settled for what I had settled for. And so my whole thing, again, like, my kids are my motivation. My kids are the fuel to my fire, for me to teach them, wanting to break and change the cycle, wanting to just live a peaceful and happy life without any bullshit. I just want it different. I know that this ain't normal. If it don't feel right within you, if it's messing you up mentally and emotionally, that now other people, very close friends of mine, were telling me, this ain't like you. Because guess what? I was quiet. When am I ever quiet? You can't shut me up now. And I was changing. And I was depressed at home. And I had close friends who were saying, this is not like you. And they saw that when he was around and we were around, there were things that he did that would trigger me. And I was becoming so edgy. And I didn't like that. I didn't like being like that. I didn't like feeling like that. So I knew I had to get out. So it was easier to stay and say, you know what? Because this was my second time around, and I had changed my whole damn life to get remarried again and think that I was just going to be a housewife or whatever again. And so all of my independence was out the door. I was codependent. He did make way more money than I did. So I knew that I was going to have to pick up from where I left off. I had to seek a career, so I thought about long and hard. What am I going to pursue? Because when I leave, I'm not going to be leaving. I don't want to be a struggling single mom. I think that anytime you're a single mom, you're going to struggle. There are going to be some barriers there and some obstacles. And it's going to be a financial hardship, period, because now you're only dealing with one income in your own household. And now you have an extra child if you bring a kid into the world. So yeah, I was setting myself up for a career, and I was establishing myself to be independent. And so those were some of the, the steps that I took. Just facing, how am I going to overcome this breakup? How am I going to get past? How am I going to be on my own again? And I took those steps, and I said to him, okay, we're done. We're breaking up. But before I leave, there's some work I got to do to get work to where I need to be. So we're not who each other expected, but I know that I don't want to struggle that fucking hard when I leave this door, when I leave this house, and so I started. That's when you saw me at LOLC. That's when I said, let me try this, let me check it out, let me see if this industry is for me. And ever since I started to pursue it, thanks to you, thanks to, shout out to Ericca Porter, she's bomb.
Yes.
She introduced us. And, if not for her, if not for hearing her story, not for meeting you and so many other women, amazing, talented, gifted, phenomenal, entrepreneur women, independent women, powerhouses, boss ladies. If not for meeting, and men too, there's been some, there's dope men in this world too. There's people, there's some dope people in this world. We can't take away from the dopeness of, who's around here. If not meeting all these people with so much knowledge on so many different levels, in this industry, you meet so many creatives, and creatives inspire other creatives. You just gravitate towards their creativity. We like admire that about each other. We embrace each other. We uplift each other. Now, it's not always like that in all types of communities and industries, but I've met some dope ass people who are dope on the inside and the outside. And that has helped me because it's not culturally accepted to leave a marriage, to leave a divorce. Some people were telling me they knew the shit that I was going through. They were witnessing the shit that I was going through, saw some of the bullshit I was putting up with, saw a lot of the fucking disrespect. They were witnesses to that firsthand. And then on top of the disrespect of abuse in the form of verbal and so damn direct about it, and it was so fucking humiliating and degrading, on top of them witnessing that and me having to deal with that humiliation, you're telling me, are you sure you want to walk away from your marriage? This is your husband. He makes enough money for the both of you. What are you doing? Why would you want to be on your own? What is it that you want? What is it that you seek? People were honestly fucking questioning the fact that I was ready to leave a toxic ass relationship. Like, if that was unheard of, like, what fucking century are we living in that you think this shit is acceptable and normal? It's not. And on top of him, trying to dog me out, like with other females that I knew. You were so damn thirsty, so I'm over here trying to get busy because you told me that we couldn't be a one-income household. You're telling me that I need to do something for myself. So I get out here in the world and I'm trying to do something for myself. And you turn that shit against me and you say that I'm doing this for some type of attention. What attention do I seek? You don't like that I'm verbal? You don't like that I'm vocal? That I'm talking about shit that's going on in our household? It didn't just start with you. So let me be vocal. So let me teach women to be positive, to be confident. So let me talk about, just because you call me fucking fat every day, let me come out here and say I love my fat ass. And you got a problem with that?
You said something so incredibly important. You said that even though people saw that you were being harmed, they said, wait, you need to stay because he is taking care of you financially. And this is why I wanted to bring this up today, because I don't think a lot of people understand how many people say not, and let's be very clear, it's not just women who are the victims of domestic violence. Men can be victims as well. Same-sex couples have the same issues. They just don't get as much attention. But the biggest reason that people stay is usually because everyone else tells them that it's okay and you'll get through it because they're taking care of you financially. Why do you think that so many wives of superstars and NFL players stay in domestic violence relationships? Because they're taking care of everyone else and they're not putting themselves forward. They're not putting themselves first. I know it took a lot for you to leave because you are in an industry that is crazy fickle, especially right now. But I knew that you would be okay because I saw you everywhere. Whether you're doing a photo shoot, a video shoot, a TV show, whatever. You were always doing something. You were always getting booked. Mainly because your photos are incredible, as y'all can see. That's the birthday photo. That party was awesome, by the way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hold on one second. And of course, men normally don't report their abuse. Boom. Because it's embarrassing and society will shun them because they don't believe a woman can abuse a man. It's not even that. It's more the fact of the way the police react when a man tries to report abuse. And that needs to be discussed at some point too, because I'm trying to understand how if someone's telling you they need help, how it's acceptable to laugh at them. And I've heard this on multiple occasions, that the police will laugh at a man when they come in and try to explain that they're the ones that are being abused. Because a lot of guys have grown up and they have been told not to put their hands on women, so they'll allow it because they have a low self-esteem. Or some women are just freaking nuts and they won't accept no for an answer, and they'll tell them to leave, and the guy will tell them to leave, and then they won't leave. It's sad. It's disgusting. It's frustrating. But when people are able to get out of it, they need to be praised for it. And any resources that can be given should be. That's why I'm grateful for all the different organizations that help when it comes to domestic abuse.
And that was another step that I took, Danielle. I reached out to one of the dopest fucking queens that I know, Latrice Mosley.
Yes.
She's boss, and she's an advocate, and she's advocating all year long for anybody who's going through it, because she's trying to make sure you are aware of the resources that are out there. And I reached out to her, and I went to, a meeting at her. I don't remember where it was, if it was at her. It was something that her church held, I believe. And so I went and just going to that group meeting and speaking on it and hearing other women, and that for me, like, and every time I did something like that to heal and to progress and to get through it, I told my whole family what I was going through. And my whole family, that means my partner at the time and my children, because I had older children. My kids were teenagers. So I had to be very open with what was going on, because at this time I'm trying to be, like, we need to get past this. And so I told my family, I have a meeting and I'm going to go do this. And I went and I did it. And so that helped me too, because I saw again where the resources was. And I saw that if I needed to do this and if I needed to, to seek some outside help, that it was there, that I could do that. And never, I think a lot of times, when you talk about the embarrassment or the humiliation or not wanting to come forward and speak on what you're going through because you fear people's judgment and criticism, or you just feel like, sometimes we don't want to say what goes on because you start to feel weak. You start to feel like, how do I not have control over the situation or this matter? Or how did I get here? So you don't seek those resources out of shame. But that's also fear that's been installed in you. So maybe you don't need them. But a lot of times just hearing different different stories, just hearing other people who are going through it and seeing how they overcome it, it becomes inspiring, it becomes encouraging, and it becomes a stepping stone. And you're moving one step closer to where you got to go. So I think just taking those small steps and opening up your mind to saying that even if I do this, if I ask for help, that does not make me weak. If I say that I've become a victim, if I say that I lost control and that something else had the power over me, that doesn't make you less of a person. That doesn't make you weak. You know, we came in this blindsided. Nobody gets into an abusive relationship and says, okay, come on, you're abusive. All right, I'm going to sign up for this. Yes, I'm going to love you too. I'm going to love you no matter how bad you treat me. Nobody fucking signed up for that shit. Because they don't come in. They don't start off being abusive. They don't start off being controlling. They don't start off being ignorant and disrespectful. And then even when they do that, guess what? They're making excuses as to why they acted the way they did. So they're saying, I'm sorry. And some of them even get on their knees and cry and beg and plead. And guess what else they do? They shower you with gifts. And now they're saying, I'm sorry, baby, and here's this. And here's that. And they buy you back. And they wheel you back in. And you're back in. Or they're sexing you back in. And you got attachment. And so now you have that physical attachment. That's now you're attaching your feelings and your emotions to that. So emotionally, letting go is the biggest step you could take. Mentally letting go and getting over it and not blaming yourself is the biggest thing you could do for yourself. And sometimes we endure abuse even from our own siblings, growing up, from our peers, from our friends, from within our school system, within your freaking neighborhood. We're being fucking bullied. We're being bullied or talk shit to because it's just, that's what's going on in the neighborhood. That's what's going on in school. That's what's going on around your cousins. And so when you hear all this, you've been around negative environments, and not all the time. I'm not saying it's all bad, but it happens. And that happens, and it's socially accepted because that's how you all play. That's how you get along. And then you grow up. But that's affected your self-esteem. And when it's affected your self-esteem, you tolerate some bullshit later on in life.
And there it goes. There's this crazy ass saying, I always say, it drives me nuts. They say 6 and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Can we seriously find the person that made that statement, dig them up and smack them in the face? Because it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's always been a lie. Words hurt worst because the wounds can't heal. These kids will go through all of their, think about it, from kindergarten up to 12th grade. If you're sitting there and you're getting tortured in school verbally, then your self-esteem goes down more and more and more, and you're more susceptible to someone harming you because that's all you've heard, and you think it's a joke and it's not a big deal, and they're not putting their hands on you, so why does it matter? But then you have all these things in your mind that are telling you that you're not good enough, and so when someone tells you that you're good enough, but then they get to a point where you can tell they don't love you anymore. They tell you that they do, and you think that they do because all you've heard your entire life was how bad you were. And this person at one time did tell you that you were great and tell you you were beautiful and tell you were smart, and then they're turning on you. So it must be you. It can't be them because everyone else has said the same thing. And now you think that they're the only one that's going to love you because that's what you've heard your entire life, is no one's going to care about you. And the one person that does treats you like crap. The question is, where do you go from there? The question is, how do you get out of that situation? What do you do? That's why a lot of people do turn to social media, because they're able to find outlets where they're not being tortured in the real life. They try to come and they try to escape and they try to thrive through everything. Y'all have no idea what's going on during this pandemic, the amount of domestic abuse that is going on right now because people can't leave is rampant. It is disgusting. That's why I say all of the time, be careful what you say, be careful what you post. You never know what someone else is going through. The amount of people that now have to deal with their abusers constantly because school is closed, because their job has them working at home. Work was their escape. School was their escape. And they have to be there all the time now, trying to figure out what to do. Trying to figure out how they're going to get by, trying to figure out what their options are. Pay attention to what you see online. Pay attention to what people say, because someone could be trying to reach out and you're like, oh, it's just a kiki. It's not just a kiki. You do not know what's going on in that household. Don't pay attention to what people say. Pay attention to what they do. I need people to understand how important it is to embrace one another and lift each other up. Because if all we do is sit up here and we demonize one another every single day, all that does is create this toxic environment that's never going to help anyone. We have enough craziness going on in the world. Why can't we be that one person that's uplifting someone? Why can't we be that one person that's supporting someone? Why can't we be that one person that's trying to be the light through all of the BS? The misconception is that we have an online persona and we have an offline persona. I don't have that. I have one persona. You're listening to it right now. The same way that I am online, the same way that I am offline. I am blessed that I've never been in a physically abusive relationship, but that's because I was taught at the age of 9 years old. If a person puts their hands on you, make that be the last thing that they hit. And I have maintained that. But I've watched friends, strong friends, who I never thought would be in an abusive relationship, go through it. And I've watched how they've gotten out of it, and I've watched what it took for them to get out of it, and I've watched the love that came beyond them. But it can't just be that though. They have to get out of their own head and realize that every single thing that we're telling them is what's real, and not what the person who was abusing them is telling them. They have to realize that the person that they're abusing can say they love you all they want to, but they only love having the control over you. That's the difference. If someone is harming you with their mouth or their hands, they do not love you. They can say it all day long, but their actions are proving that they do not love you. And you should only be around people that do love you. If the people that are around you are the ones that are hurting you, you need to be around someone else. Because there is no reason for you to allow yourself to be harmed day in and day out. For what? Who was that helping? Especially if you have children. That's why it's so important to reach out to organizations. That's why it's so important to make sure that you're not just in a bubble and you're just around negativity all the time. You have to seek out things that are positive. You have to do things that make you happy. Do never, ever, 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 ever lose yourself. Know what makes you smile. If the person that you are with is not making you smile, what the hell are you there for?
And, piggybacking off of what you're saying, Danielle, a lot of times, like I said, it's been generation after generation. It's been socially accepted. So, you don't realize sometimes how you end up in these situations. And so you're not going to know how to come out of them. So it's going to take a lot of inner strength, strength that you don't believe that you have, and you're just going to have to try to stay positive. And yes, surround yourself with outsource. And if within your family and your circle, nobody has the answer because they've never had to gone through this, or they haven't yet to experience it, or they've experienced it and never have found a way to get themselves out of it, they won't know how to steer you right, because they've never opened themselves up for those options. So you have to outsource. You have to outsource within your circle and come outside of your circle and seek it, if that's what you want. If it doesn't feel good to you and it doesn't feel natural and you're not happy and you are being mistreated, and if you want out, be open to asking for it without feeling humiliated, without feeling like you're part of the problem. You are not part of the problem. It is not your fault that you are with a damaged person, that you are with someone who is mean, that you are with an abuser. You didn't make that person that way. That person don't love themselves, so they will not love you the right way. So you don't have to understand why you love an abuser or why you fell in love with one, because he didn't start off being abusive. So you fell for it, and now you're there and you're deep in, and that's okay. And that's another message that I want to send to a lot of people, is that it's okay to fall, to partake in it, because it happened unexpectedly and you didn't foresee this. So we don't know why and how we end up in situations or relationships like this. And you don't even try to understand it. Don't even freaking start asking yourself how and why, because you don't know why. There's not a right answer. There's no right time. And you're never going to know when the right time is to leave and walk away. But you just have to, self-reflect and understand that if you want better, you can do better, and you will do better, and you will be okay on your own. That person is not your world. So you have to outsource. And again, they don't love themselves. Someone who is mean to another person who they're claiming they love, they do not love themselves. They will not love you properly. So if they don't try to get help for themselves, the situation will not get any better. It's going to get 9 times out of 10, it's going to get worse. It escalates, it elevates. The abuse gets worse. If it starts off being verbal and emotionally, and it's going to end up being physical. And I think that you do have to get out if you have children involved, because if you have daughters or sons, now you are in control of your own life. And if you accept abuse, you're teaching your children to accept abuse. You're teaching them that it is okay. And you might damage your own kids without even realize. You are going to install some fear in them because they saw how fearful you were to not leave and not walk away. And damage and hurt people hurt people.
That's the biggest thing about it. Damaged and hurt people hurt people. And the reason that he will stay in those relationships is because they want to help, and they don't want to make it seem like they're giving up, right? Especially like the person's, if we know somebody's completely emotionally messed up, you want to be like, okay, well, they had a rough childhood, so maybe that's just what they learned. Maybe they'll do better, blah, blah, blah. Yes, there are instances, very, very few, where men or women or the abusers can change, but that's rare. Do not depend on that. Even with counseling, sometimes they still go back to their old ways. Like Ericca was saying, it starts off very, very subtle. It starts off with them, quote unquote, jonesing you in front of their friends. Then it goes to, wait, are you going to wear that? Are you going to do that? Then it goes to the calling you constantly, and not just to check, to check in. They're checking up on you and making sure that you're not doing anything else other than being by their side. They want to know then they start pulling your friends and family away so that they really are only with them, and they think that you have no other options, but your friends and family are sitting there waiting for you to get a clue, because we know this guy was a jerk. And we knew that you would wake up, but we're sitting and waiting for the day that you call and say, I'm done, so we can come grab you and go get drinks and chill out and celebrate you coming back to yourself. People get involved in domestic abusive relationships definitely as a generational curse, because the parent says something crazy with their grandmother, or they might have watched their mother be talked to in any way. They might have watched their grandfather say whatever to the grandmother, and so on and so forth. But it's up to you to break that chain. It's up to you to break that cycle. When you notice something isn't right, you can feel it in your spirit. You know something's wrong before everyone else does. You can see that something has shifted. Because like Ericca was saying, it didn't start that way. Who wants to go into a relationship where the guy or the person sitting there and yelling at them, screaming, acting a fool? I've heard situations where the people were phenomenal up until the day of the wedding. After the ceremony, that night, literally, I heard a story where that night, after everything was said and done, you're chilling, you're in the hotel room, about to go on your honeymoon, and that's when they became abusive, which is insane to me. They married you specifically so they could, because now you're quote unquote their property. They own you. That's insane.
Yes, they wait till you're deep in. I remember I was about 6.5 months pregnant, and that's when it went full force, and I could not fucking believe it. And I'm pregnant, and I'm like, holy shit, what did I get myself into? And I had to think, okay, now what do I gotta do? Because I'm not gonna stay here if this keeps up. And I was 6 months pregnant with his child, and we were married. Had a whole motherfucking wedding. Had a whole wedding. And like I said, I wasn't, because I had already gone through like forms of control and emotional abuse and verbal abuse, and I took it so lightly. I kept rolling with all those punches, not realizing that was no good for me. Not seeing that it was a problem, because I just thought, people are insecure, and let me make him feel secure with himself, so I'll do everything right. If I gotta cut off my friends and not be so social, then it's okay. My friends will understand. And guess what? My friends were super understanding. They understood why we couldn't be at every party and every invitation, because now I was in a relationship, and it's okay, be in your relationship. Your man, I understand. I know how my man is, whatever. Like I said, it's so socially accepted, the forms of control that sometimes your partner can have over you. And so nobody saw that as it being, a red flag. But now, when I'm 6 months pregnant and I get in an argument with my first husband, my other children's father, and he disrespects me and brings that to my new spouse, and my new partner said, the man that I thought loved me unconditionally now, the man that I thought was going to make me feel safe and protected and secure, fucking came upright and literally said to me, called me out my name, you fucking bitch, what did you do? I'm not going to argue with him. I'm not going to go to jail for you over him. I'm not going to get involved. I didn't ask him to get involved. That ex-partner messaged him, came at him. How the fuck was that my fault? What control did I have over him calling me out my name to him and trying to test him and trying to fight with him? Because that's what he always did. He always came in on my relationships, the ex, the first one. He always tried to damage whatever it was that I had going on. And guess what? He was also a reason why I picked the newer partner that I picked. And those are some of the things that I didn't recognize that I was doing, how I was gonna ultimately fuck up my own self and put myself in a deeper hole, because I thought I got away from one crazy, and how do I get this crazy off my back? I get another crazy so that he can't fuck with him and he won't fuck with me because this one's crazy too. But what was that doing to me? I was crazy forever even thinking that was the right way to go about it. That this was the person I should end up with, because he was going to protect me, because he was known to be violent, because he was known to not let nobody punk him out. But then I started getting punked out because I started getting attacked. So I realized how deep of a hole I got myself in when I thought that my solution to the problem was not healing, was not loving myself 100%, was looking for love somewhere else. That was never going to happen. Wasn't the right form of love for me, for myself, for my family, for my kids. So yes, they wait till they have you deep in. They wait till they got you locked down. They wait till they have full control over everything. Money, home, dependency. You become codependent, and now they're telling you ain't shit. So they kick you while you're down, or while they have the full power and control. So you got to learn how to redevelop. You got to learn how to get up from this. But the only way there is from down is up. And it ain't up to them to pick you up and do it. You got to do it for yourself. And there's so much pride in doing it for yourself that it's so rewarding. And you'll be so grateful when you leave an abusive relationship. You'll be so grateful to yourself. And once you have that pride, that proudness in you of, you know what, I've overcome this and there's no way in hell I'm going to tolerate that. And you show them that, they know they can't mess with you no more. And they'll try. God bless you.
Hello?
That's silly.
Yeah, so tell everybody what you're doing now and what you've done, since you've left and all that, and how people can follow you and keep in contact with you. You're doing so many phenomenal things.
Yes. Like as you mentioned, since I started, thank God, um, I have been very, very busy and consistently busy, which has helped me so much because it didn't allow downtime. It didn't allow time for me to feel down. And there's times, there were times where I was walking out of this house going to something, and there were instances, trying to stop me. For one, the continuous verbal abuse and the degrading ass words that I had to hear, on a consistent, regular basis, was always there. So I just kept going because I knew that this was something I needed to do for myself. And a lot of the things that I have done, I have been part of fashion shows. I have been blessed to become a brand ambassador for many brands. Early on in my career, I just kept putting myself out there. I was so determined to level up that there was nothing that was going to get in my way. And when you are determined, and those affirmations, I cannot stress enough, power of the tongue, power of the mind and your thought and your subconscious. Like I was training myself to rethink what I thought and who I thought I was. So, and I openly discussed this because it's the truth. I was trying to not convince everybody else that I was body positive. I was trying to convince myself most of all. Like this is a continuous battle within myself. It's telling myself that I am happy with who I am on the outside and on the inside. Because in the inside, I knew I was good. I have a loving, caring soul. And that's why I love to embrace and support other women and anyone who I feel is a good person. I'm going to show you some love. And so I continue to be that person and not let these things damage me emotionally. And I've been blessed to be a brand ambassador for there was a photography group, and the creative director there was just this dope ass, beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous woman. Her name is Renee. I can't pronounce her last name. But, she was one of the first people to hire me and, get me to be one of her models as a brand ambassador. And that was like, it was so dope because she just is such a dope ass creative. And so that was one of the like biggest things. And every time I got something, I was like just so happy and like proud of myself. And just so to feel proud of myself was so self-fulfilling that like it gives me more motivation to keep going, to keep trying, and to say, you know what? This is all you ever needed to do was believe in yourself. And so I've had some, great women supporting me and steering me right. People in the industry like yourself and like Ericca who were saying, you know what? These are some of the steps that you're going to have to take. This is the type of industry that you're in. So you got to be consistent. You got to work on your brand. And you guys were dropping these nuggets of knowledge so that I can, if I was going to take this seriously, that I was seriously taking the right steps and the right initiative. So I continued to level up in a business aspect. I signed myself up for networking events, women empowerment events. And I was learning all these different skills. And I was learning, how to brand myself as a business, because a lot of times within the modeling industry, you hear all this criticism of models, right? But you got to understand, most models come into this at an adolescent age. They're underage girls. A lot of times their parents are signing them up. So they don't handle it in a business aspect because they have a parent doing it for them because they're the adult. So, and then when they are over 18 and they're pursuing it for themselves, they have the lack of knowledge because it's not taught. They're not reading the fine print. They're going every time. If you're going to be in a modeling industry or an acting industry, you got to have some tough skin. So that's why I don't look down on my past and my upbringing. That shit has built me to have some tough skin and be strong-minded, to know that I'm going to be judged and I'm going to be criticized, because you put yourself in front of a line and you got so many other people, you know, not competing, but we're all there for one role or for a slot of so many little roles, and there's hundreds of people auditioning and casting for this. So how do you walk away if you're said they're telling you you don't got to look, you're not it right now, we don't choose you? That's okay. You're not for everyone. Everyone is not going to like you. You're not going to be everybody's type or their cup of tea. But you got to know that when it's for you, it will be for you. And you got to keep being persistent, keep being determined, and keep self-motivating yourself. Don't look for acceptance in other people. Don't seek nothing outside of yourself. It's great to have support, but have your own back. Have your own support. Be your own backup system. Going back to self-love. Love yourself.
And with that, y'all see why I love Ericca. Y'all see why she's the dopest. Like, y'all gonna see her more often. She's doing some amazing things. I know she's working on a podcast as well. She's definitely doing her thing. Ericca, I am so incredibly proud of you. I cannot wait till we can collaborate again. You have just been doing so many beautiful things and helping people, and just I'm so glad that you were able to get out and save yourself and save your children and save your sanity. Oh my goodness. This has been an amazing, powerful show. Shout out to Project 28 Chicago. Project 28 Chicago is a mental health organization. We also have locations in Chicago as well as in Arizona. The whole thing about Project 28 Chicago is that we focus on substance abuse as well as mental health. And the houses are for recovery of people that are dealing with mental issues as well as substance abuse. This was important because we need to hear the voices of people who have survived. We always hear the tales of people that didn't make it out in time. And so I wanted to make sure that you heard from someone that you would look at and would never even think that they went through this, because on the surface they're everywhere, they're having fun, and to hear that she was going through this as we are sitting here just going down runways and doing photo shoots and all this, and this is what's happening behind the scenes. But she got out, and she's thriving, and she's a brand ambassador, and she's a curvy girl. And I'm seeing so many photos that are popping up that are just absolutely incredible. And this is only the beginning. You cannot allow this pandemic to cause us to harm one another with our words. Because right now, online is what we have in order to have our communities, because we cannot gather the way that we can gather. We could have 600 people on here, but we can't do that in real life. We can't even have more than 50 here. Let's be clear. So start embracing one another and try to help one another. Because yes, words can hurt. So let's start building each other up instead of tearing each other down, because again, you have no idea what happens when someone turns off that screen. You have no idea what happens when somebody can still be on screen having the same issue but trying to hide so they can feel safe for that moment. You never know what someone's going through, so why not try and be the reason that someone smiles every day? I challenge everyone listening to this broadcast. Try to make at least one person smile per day. Again, try to make at least one person smile per day. If one person can smile per day and everyone, that's their goal. There's like 8 million, what is it? Oh Lord, there's 8 billion people in the world. If everyone can do that, that will help us to get through all of this. If you're online, be kind as much as you can. Because you do not understand the importance of the golden rule. Treat people the way that you would like to be treated. Lift each other up and build genuine relationships. Much love to everyone that came through today. Shout out to Ericca once again. I'm going to drop her Instagram so you guys can follow. Hold on, let me read some of these comments before I get on out of here. 1 second. Indigo says, I try to make 7 people smile per day. I always crack jokes at my job. Honey Savage said, this is amazing. I needed this. Thank you, Denai and Ericca. The biggest thing I wanted to say right before I get out of here is that online we have this misconception where we're just kind of, we want to kiki, we want to, we think it's not a big deal. It's just entertainment. But it's not. These are real people. It's real people behind these screens. No matter what platform that you're on. I was watching the broadcast yesterday with somebody that had 100,000 subscribers. I'm like, damn, how you going through the same stuff we're going through and we ain't even got 1,000? What do you mean? But it's on a bigger scale. Verbal abuse is verbal abuse, period. It does not matter. Don't be the cause of someone wanting to harm themselves just for a kiki. It's not worth it. Alrighty, you guys have a wonderful day. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back later on because I'm gonna talk about my experience voting. If y'all didn't vote, do that. But I'm gonna tell you about my experience. So if you have not voted, y'all better do that. I'm telling you now, y'all better get out there and vote, damn it, because child, and get out there early. But yeah, we'll talk about that later on. But Ericca, thank you again. You are amazing. I love you to death. I cannot wait to give you a hug. We definitely gotta get up anyways. Ericca's a client, by the way. So next time you guys see her, we will be on camera because she'll be modeling for me. So we'll let you know when that's gonna be. But anyways, I love y'all. So continue to express what makes you unique. Shout out to the Charm Squad.